Whenever the subject of high school football comes up, you can rest assured Elizabeth High School will be in that mix. Williams Field, the home of the Elizabeth Minutemen, has seen its share of great games and great performances.
Previously on The Big E.
Wide to the left is Jimmy Smith. At the slot on the wide side is Gil Chapman. There is a delayed handoff. It's a look-in pass. It's thrown down to Chapman, down to 20, down to 15, down to 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, touchdown! Touchdown, Gil Chapman! The first pass that Dennis Franklin throws.
Gil Chapman were All-American, high school All-Americans. Richie went, of course, to USC, where he became a 3-time All-American. Gil chose Michigan, where he changed him from running back to wide receiver.
1970, that was the final year of Gil Chapman and Richie Wood and Bob Dash, the year they were 9-0, and those were days where Saturday, if you wanted to get in to watch a 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon game, you better be there like at 12 o'clock because the place was packed.
We were averaging 20, 25 kids a year going at one level or other. And then to go from that to the next level is a big step, you know. You got Rodney Carter, you got Todd Bowles, you go back to Gil Chapman.
This is EHS Illustrated.
Nowadays in the city of Elizabeth, we look at Williams Field as a landmark. It's a symbol of all the dominance and excellence of all the teams over all the decades. But when it all started, there was a lowly AFL team that we can thank for the field even existing. Let's take a deeper look at the history of Williams Field.
You know, one thing about Elizabeth has always supported sports.
Yes.
Always.
Yes.
I mean, that's just a tradition about Elizabeth. And we were fortunate enough, like we had the first undefeated football team as a freshman. And again, that's because all of us came together, you know, from all different parts of the town. We played together when we were young and so forth. So there was a lot of excitement waiting for us to come to the high school.
Yes.
Back in those days, it was a Saturday afternoon. There were no night games. It was before they put the lights up at Williams Field.
We were the first team to really play on that beautiful new field. In fact, where the baseball complex is now at Williams Field was the place where we practiced. It was just grass, open field, and that's where they had us doing our practice.
I mean, they gave us what we needed on the field. I mean, Williams Field was beautiful, and it just got more prettier every week we came out there because there was no way anybody was coming to Elizabeth and walking out of there with a victory. You can forget that.
It came down to 2 coaches. It came down to Coach Moore and myself.
Years ago, as an assistant at some of the major colleges in the United States, but going to Elizabeth, I was going to maybe Massillon, Ohio at the time that they called me to come to the interview for Elizabeth.
Coach Moore got the job. Didn't bother me. I'm Elizabeth through and through. I'll work for, if I'm not the head coach, then I want to be the top assistant.
And then my wife and kids decided that I was going to Elizabeth. I came home one night from an interview and it was a welcome home new Elizabeth football coach on the door.
So that's what I became when Jerry showed up in '85. And when he came in from Somerville with 11 state championships, sectional titles, and he wanted to run the wishbone.
You know, the football field was always a classroom to me, that you had to teach people, and you had to teach the class, and you had to get you had to have a test. You know, and the final test was the game. But we'd have a little pop quizzes during the week. And so we'd try, we all have meetings, and once we had a meeting, we weren't coming out of that meeting, as far as I was concerned, until we were set on what we were doing offensively, special teams, right, defensively.
And that was a popular offense right then, but we said to Jerry, this is Tailback University. I mean, this is the I. I mean, we run straight I, and we run it well.
Taking the same core of 4 or 5 plays, but being able to disguise them and run them in 20 or 25 different setups and styles. So that's, and using the verbiage that the kids, at one time it's a different language, and teaching them the language and teaching them how to communicate and teaching them how to be dynamic football players.
Just imagine if you can take the mind and vision of Al Davis, the discipline and strategy of Coach Nick Saban, and the craziness of Rowdy Piper, and put them together in one person, you get Coach Jerry Moore, one of a kind. Let's look at the tape.
We played the way we wanted to play. We had a couple of chances to maybe get a couple more scores. We just had dropped a few passes, but kids did a great job. They executed, and the defense bent a little bit, but they didn't, break. It was just a great game. And stopping the 2 extra points was big.
Jerry is a friend of mine. You can't find a crazier, funnier guy. I love Jerry Moore.
Coach Moore didn't grow up really, with a golden, spoon in his mouth. Coach Moore grew up tough. He succeeded. Not only was he a successful football coach, he was a successful basketball coach at Somerville girls basketball. So you're going from a guy going from coaching girls basketball to Elizabeth High School football and having just great success. It just shows that the guy's just a great coach.
Who stayed for like 19 years, I think it was. I think we went to the playoffs all but one of his years coaching.
There have been so many great coaches there. And I think using one example would be Jerry Moore. Because what Jerry Moore did back in the days when he was there was to make sure that the kids on his team visited Rutgers.
They were trying to build a program. They were trying to. Rutgers had always seen itself as an Ivy League school, and it wasn't. It played an Ivy League schedule, but when it started getting into the Big East, and you started playing other schools, then you weren't competitive enough.
Coach Moore was that dude, man. Coach Moore loved the kids, man. He loved the players, man. He used to go above and beyond to help cats from the hood get into schools, man. And he stayed on us like a father.
Coach Moore was, he was one of the men that don't have to say too much to me that could get me going for a game, or understand when I'm pouting a little bit to pick me up with certain words, calling me a little baby. That's gonna make me play harder. So he knew how to get to his players, and he has some hell of a players.
He pushed us to try to get the best out of us, the most out of us. He came in very motivated and highly praised.
Man, everybody know Coach Moore, man. Jerry's like a dad, man. He was like a second dad, especially to me. He was hard on me. I don't know how many players he was hard on as much as me. I guess he felt like one time he told me he was hard on me because one, he wanted me to stay focused, and two, he felt like I could handle it. He wasn't as hard on other players as he was me, man. Jerry used to give it to me.
Coach Moore was a hard-nosed, tough coach. I mean, you mess up, he was in your face. He'd grab your face mask,
But one thing about Coach Moore is, if you did mess up, he'll pull you to the side and say, son, this is the way you do it, or this is the correct way you do it. I mean, yeah, if he believed in you, sky's the limits.
Coach Moore is my second father. You know, he basically saved my life. You know, I was in the streets doing the wrong thing, hanging out with the wrong people. Finally got to high school, you know. Once again, looking up to Malik and Jamil, seeing their success on the field. Jerry Moore kind of grabbed me by the hand and told me, you know, this is where you need to be on the football field.
Coach Moore was a great man. Coach Moore was not just a coach to us. Coach Moore was like a father figure to a lot of young men in Elizabeth, because coming from Elizabeth, you know, you got 90% of the homes, single parent homes. You know, so Coach Moore gave a lot of us guidance, gave us some stability. We knew we can always go to the football office and talk to him, and he was going to give us some guidance. You know, he even fed some of us from time to time, man. You know, I love Coach Moore. He's a great guy.
Jerry Moore is not only one of the greatest coaches that ever do it, you know, even more than that, like for me, he was a mentor, you know what I'm saying? He was a father figure. Now, he had his unconventional way about motivating you, you know what I'm saying? He knew how to light jokers' fire, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, he cared about the kids in this community and his program.
Coach Moore, man, I mean, what can you say about him? He's actually legendary, man. He coached some great teams, and he coached even greater players. And he was able to facilitate a lot of guys into schools and things like that. So you can't do anything but give him his props, man.
Coach Moore was he was a great coach to me, in my eyes. You know, other people could say different, you know, but you know, he really stepped in as a role model in our lives. You know what I mean? And some of our lives when our parents wasn't there.
Jerry Moore is an important person to myself as well as a lot of other guys. You know, growing up, single parent home. So that guidance from a father figure, not saying it wasn't there, but it wasn't there. You know, you got moms playing dad and mom. And you know, once you came into the arms of Jerry Moore, you know, you kind of had that father figure, because I tell you what, he'd discipline you and he'd give you some good food for thought, you know what I'm saying, some knowledge.
Everybody, we with Coach Moore. He about to show us his memorabilia. All right, Coach, take us to what's what?
This is the famous Big E helmet. A couple of footballs that are from the playoffs. Some more up here. And here, in here, we got the Elizabeth hats.
Wow, how old was those hats?
This one here is 2001.
What's going on, Jamie?
So we're having a, you know,
wow,
a lot of things, just a lot of memories. And this is a T-shirt we had made up of the 5 state championships at Elizabeth, and a lot of great players, a lot of great people, a lot of great fans. We had Elizabeth High School was on a roll from '85 to 2003, 2002. I think we dominated a lot of sports, a lot of great coaches, and a lot of great experiences. You know, as I get older, the experiences become better. Everybody tells me how great they were, and then I have to keep them in line and say, well, you know, hey, you might not have been that good. You know, how people get good with age or better with age.
All those great stories are stories of struggle and tragedy for many of these young men who had to negotiate themselves through the mean streets of Elizabeth, New Jersey. I'm Wayne Avery. This film will highlight the story of these young men through their own words. This is EHS Illustrated.